Why is sending people beyond the moon is so difficult? The human race has sent robots to Mars, spaceships to all of the gaseous planets, and even an exploration mission to Pluto. However, we have yet to send humans beyond the moon and will most likely have a long way to go. Why is sending people beyond the moon so difficult? Let us investigate. NASA succeeded to land the first humans on the moon's surface in 1969. As Neil Armstrong stated, this was a modest step for man, but a giant leap for all of humanity, because it was the first time we set foot on a world other than Earth. After more than a half-century, we have not only not gone any further, but we have also not returned to the moon. In a previous video, we discussed why it is so difficult to return if we have already gone. Even if we were to return to the moon, it would be difficult to go any further because the technology required to do so is only now being tested. The initial attempts. When the first humans landed on the moon well than a half-century ago, the spaceship they used was the Apollo, which had to orbit the moon several times before landing. They rejoined the command modules to return to Earth after investigating the lunar surface. In total, 6 missions and 12 men stepped on the lunar surface. However, this astounding feat has not been replicated since. But why? Extremely difficult task to take on. The journey beyond the moon is far more difficult than it appears. One of the most significant obstacles is the expense. Beyond moon travel is substantially more expensive than sending missions to the moon. NASA, for example, spent over $25 billion on the Apollo program, which sent people to the moon. For example, the cost of sending a human-crewed expedition to Mars would be at least 100 times higher. No government or corporation is willing to spend so much money on a mission that does not benefit humanity instantly. Furthermore, several technical and physical issues must be resolved before humans can be transported to other planets. The radiation issue is one of the most difficult. Humans are exposed to substantially higher radiation levels when they move outside the safety of the Earth's magnetic field. Long-term health repercussions for astronauts may result from this. Because the voyage to the moon was only a few days long, the astronauts were not exposed to radiation. They were kept within the spaceship for the most of the mission, which had unique coatings that protected them from radiation. Things alter, though, over a longer vacation. Even if the spacecraft they ride in has the same protection mechanisms as the Apollo ship, they will be exposed to radiation from deep space that no insulation can shield them from. Exposure to this radiation for a few days is not harmful, but if the mission lasts several months or years, it can cause long-term health concerns like cancer and DNA damage. To address this issue, advanced radiation protection technologies such as radiation shields and shielding materials are being developed. Nonetheless, no spacecraft can shield astronauts from radiation for extended periods of time in deep space. Water and food. It is obvious that there are no supermarkets or other places to pay for astronauts' food, water, and oxygen supplies in space. This was not an issue on the moon because the mission was brief and sufficient supplies could be transported from Earth. A sustainable source of supplies for astronauts would be required on a longer mission, such as to Mars. To address this issue, before traveling beyond the moon, all resources such as food, water, and equipment would have to be transported on a ship that would arrive at the destination point several months before the crew departs from Earth. This supply spaceship would remain at the destination, ready for the crew to arrive later with everything needed to extend your stay by a few months or perhaps years. The trip to Mars is far longer than the trip to the moon. The shortest expedition to Mars lasted around 6 months, followed by a 6-month return mission. Astronauts would have difficulty communicating with their loved ones during that period. This can have a significant psychological impact on astronauts and necessitates great mental preparation, as well as monitoring their actions and emotional management. In terms of emotional stability in space, what if an astronaut has a mental breakdown? Assume this occurs over the course of a multi-year deployment. In that situation, the remainder of the crew must bind him and sedate him with tranquilizers until he stabilizes. Otherwise, he poses a threat to himself and the rest of the crew. Fortunately, this has never been required, but it is uncertain what habits or psychological issues astronauts may exhibit after spending several years in space. Communication is another key technical issue. The distance between Earth and Mars fluctuates based on where the planets are in their orbits. The distance is around 400 million kilometers at the moment of maximum separation. This means that communications between astronauts and Earth would be delayed by up to 22 minutes, making real-time decisions difficult. Astronauts who wish to travel beyond the moon will be alone since they will not be able to connect with Earth as quickly as they could on the moon. Technological difficulties. One of the major technologies required to travel beyond the moon is the propulsion system. Chemical rockets, which are currently employed to reach the moon, are inefficient for longer voyages. As a result, more advanced propulsion systems, like as plasma engines or ion engines, are required to give the speed required to reach other planets in a short period of time. Furthermore, more modern life support technologies are required to keep astronauts alive during the long flight. Water and air purification, recycling, and food production are all examples of this. Furthermore, radiation protection devices are required to assure astronaut safety. Another technological hurdle is the creation of space vehicles capable of assisting in the journey beyond the moon. Spacecraft must be built to resist long periods of flight, radiation, temperature variations, and zero gravity. When it comes to the first manned expeditions beyond the moon, much will depend on technology advancement and investment in space research. NASA is working on the Artemis program, which aims to return men to the moon by 2024. This is an important step toward exploring beyond the moon, but much more work remains to be done before humans can go to other planets. NASA has selected the 2030s as the target date for reaching Mars. However, much will depend on technology advancement and investment in space exploration. NASA is working on new propulsion technologies, life support systems, and spacecraft that can travel beyond the moon. Furthermore, plans are being developed to partner with other space agencies, such as the European Space Agency and the Russian Space Agency, to enable exploration beyond the moon. As a result, it is unclear whether these dates are excessively optimistic. The moon's base. To reach beyond the moon, we must first regulate the moon, and tragically, there is still a long way to go in this regard. The use of materials found on the moon to construct structures that protect astronauts from radiation is being researched. The moon's surface is covered by a regolith layer, which is a coating of dust and loose rocks. This regolith could be used to construct astronaut protective structures such as shelters and lunar bases. A lunar outpost might be a critical step in taking humanity beyond, allowing for exploration and study of our natural satellite as well as serving as a launch pad for manned journeys to other planets. A lunar outpost would necessitate advanced building and power supply technology, as well as life support and radiation protection measures. Building a long-term lunar outpost would allow for ongoing scientific investigation and the development of technology that could let humanity move beyond the moon in the near future. The initial mission. The first manned mission to attempt to get beyond the moon would be momentous and difficult. Because we've never gone this far before, this trip would necessitate rigorous planning, cutting-edge technology, and the assistance of humanity's best brains. A team of highly qualified and experienced astronauts with different expertise in fields including as engineering, medicine, and geology would crew the expedition. The number of astronauts could range between 4 and 6 persons. Although the exact gender composition of the crew is difficult to anticipate, given that NASA and other space organizations strive for inclusion and diversity, the team is expected to comprise an equal number of men and women. The mission's time would be determined by the distance to be traveled and the destination. If the trip were to Mars, for example, the whole duration of the mission, including journey time and stay on the planet's surface, could be many years. However, if the mission goes to a nearby asteroid or comet, it could last several months. Regardless of the mission's duration or aim, modern technologies would be required to ensure humans have what they need to survive in deep space. Advanced propulsion and navigation devices would be required to safely transport the team to their goal and ensure their return to Earth. Advanced communications equipment would also be required to ensure that astronauts can always connect with Earth and get assistance from mission control teams. To summarize, deep space exploration has proven to be a tremendous problem for civilization. Despite many technical challenges, we are coming closer and closer to carrying out a human-crewed journey beyond the moon. As we continue to explore and discover the universe, we are inspired and motivated to learn more about ourselves and our place in the universe. Space exploration has been shown to be a catalyst for innovation, technology, and discovery. It has led to the development of technology used in fields such as medical, energy, and security. Deep space research demonstrates how insignificant we are in the huge cosmos and how powerful our potential to explore and discover the unknown is. With patience and determination, we can overcome obstacles and achieve extraordinary accomplishments such as sending humans beyond the moon. So, keep dreaming, keep investigating, and keep looking for new methods to uncover our cosmos, because, in the end, it is the human spirit of exploration and discovery that will propel us to the stars. And you too, when do you believe the first human-crewed mission beyond the moon will take place? Please share your thoughts with us in the form of a comment.